Rule of thumb: don't do dumb things, and dumb things will not happen to you. Hello there, I am Rafael Di Furia, back at it again on another Friday night. This week, I wanted to talk about something that's another one of the probably the most popular questions that I get asked about, but that I have really been avoiding. I've talked about it briefly before. But anyway, from this week's title, I'm assuming you already know that I'm going to be talking about sham marriages, fake marriages for citizenship and visas. But before we get too much deeper into the video, if you would like to see more content like this about moving abroad, living abroad, and living life in Italy and dual citizenship, be sure to subscribe with that notification bell turned on. And if you could also give this video a like and share it with your friends, that would be greatly appreciated. And of course, as always, a huge thank you to the patrons who make these videos possible. And just to preface this video, just by the title alone, I understand that there will probably be people out there that misunderstand the intention of this video. I am extremely against fake marriages. Please do not contact me about a fake marriage. This is one thing that I do get contacted about quite often, and I will definitely say a huge fat no. Not a small skinny one, big and fat, juicy. This week's video was inspired by a recent comment on one of my videos. I am not going to say the person's name, and I'm not going to read out the comment just because I don't want to put them out on blast, even though I have decided to leave that comment out in public and not delete it for the time being. But basically the gist of the comment was that this person had gotten their citizenship through descent. They have a friend who might be eligible for Italian citizenship by descent but has a very complicated situation, and had proposed to the friend that they get married for citizenship. Number one, this is just the biggest reason why this is a horrible idea is because it's illegal. There's reasons why it's illegal. But anyway, forgetting even the reasons why it's illegal and the abuse of the system, which is now one of the reasons why that there is a language requirement for Italian citizenship through marriage. That's one of the big ones. But aside from all of that, that doesn't even matter. The big reason why is because you can get fines and jail time. It's as simple as that. It is a very simple matter. But of course, to many people considering this, that would not be a deterrent necessarily. But let's talk about some of the details of why actually it really isn't a good idea and what would be involved. For people from many countries, they will be used to the idea that getting married is actually a very simple matter, very easy to do. Americans in particular, you just go down to City Hall, wait in line, a couple minutes later, you're done. Married. Easy, simple, go to Vegas, you can drive through and get married. In Italy, this is very much not the case. If you get married abroad and register your marriage abroad with an Italian consulate, this is one thing. But that is also, of course, a process that does entail a bit of work to go into it, and money. But of course, like many things in Italy, getting married here is a bit of an involved process. But there are some technicalities and rules that you have to play by. For example, before you can get married, you have to go to the municipality. If I'm understanding this correctly, I've never been married, so if I'm wrong about this, forgive me. But my understanding is that in Italy, it's required first to go to the municipality to let them know you intend on getting legally married. Once they have been notified that, then they have to post that publicly. Some places will actually put it on a poster board, but now a lot of municipalities will just put it up online that these people intend to get married, and there's a certain period of time, I believe it's 1 week or 14 days, 10 days, something in this range, where that information has to be posted publicly so that a person can come in and contest that if one of those people actually happens to be married. Then once that's over, as far as I understand, you can basically move forward with getting legally married at that point. But anyway, there's still other things that you have to do. It's not just as simple as that. But anyway, going on, the rest of the process isn't important, but there are other steps that you have to take to be able to get married legally in Italy. And there's also some quirky laws, I guess you could call them, where the place that the marriage takes place has to have a roof or something like this. There's some sort of law along those lines, if I remember correctly. Anyway, it doesn't even matter. But moving on, you have to share a residence with this person that you are entering into marriage with. The police will come to do a residency check to make sure that you are living together. This is also part of the process of getting married here in Italy. If the couple don't live together, that potentially has the ability to invalidate the marriage. And then there is the time requirement. Yes, once you're officially married, then the non-Italian spouse can get a visa to be here in Italy, but that visa is contingent on the marriage itself. So if the marriage is dissolved, then basically the visa is too. And then even if you are wanting to go for Italian citizenship through marriage, there are time requirements. The time requirements vary depending on how long you've been married, if you live in Italy, or if you live outside of Italy, if you have children, or if you don't have children. And then on top, like I was mentioning before, there is now also the language requirement. And the language requirement isn't quite a walk in the park. It's considered pretty much basic intermediate, like easy Italian, but the grammar is anything but simple. Doable, yes, but simple, hell no. But let's say you decide to make a really horrible decision and you get yourself into one of these situations. I have a friend, for example. He's not married. He's divorced, fully divorced anyway, but he's got somebody who he's got a connection with. But she had been entered into one of these sham marriages and actually is technically married right now. Because of that, if he wanted to pursue anything further with her, they can't. It's not possible. So what if during your marriage you happen to meet somebody that you really feel could be the right one, but then you're in this kind of sticky situation? I know there's a lot of people that would be put off by that, but there are people who may be understanding, but still slightly sketched out. But how could you move forward if you were somebody who wanted to be in a actual marriage, in a relationship? How could you move forward if you're already married? Going back to the jail time and fines, it's not difficult if you do a quick search on Google to find articles and articles about busts happening. I've read various figures and various amounts of years that people spend in jail, but it's not small numbers that we're talking about here. This is a very serious offense. And so that's why if anybody ever asks me about it, if they should or if they shouldn't, I say don't even think about it. I'm not a lawyer or anything. I'm just an average guy. This is just common sense. This is just very simple, basic stuff here. I'm really not trying to insult the intelligence of anybody, but you really can't consider it. And then the thing is also, if you're thinking about how long you have to remain to this person and how much of an inconvenience it could be, the amounts of money that people are paying for these marriages is minuscule in the grand scheme of things for a multi-year commitment. Because it's not only a minimum requirement of how long you've had to have been married, but also the length of the processing time can take quite a few years. This is another topic that I do feel very strongly about. That's why last week and this week, these videos may be a little bit more passionate than some of the other content I do, because this is something that like I said, I feel so strongly about, that I think it is such a horrible, shady thing. And there's so many people that get racked up into this, and they just get into a horrible downward spiral. It ruins people's lives. Theoretically, this is not something that would just affect the person making the decision, but potentially if that person had children later on, the documentation and paper trail that could create, especially if there's name changes, because in Italy, last names don't change when you get married. But in other countries, if that happens, if those name changes happen, that can create a very complicated paper trail for that child later on in life, if they need their documents or their documents and their parents' documents. Of course, it's not common that a person will need their parents' documents. However, it is something that is definitely possible. And then getting a divorce is another involved process, even more involved than getting married. And say you don't protect yourself well enough at the beginning of the marriage, then you could end up with nothing. Really think about it. Don't make the wrong decision. It is a horrible decision to even consider. I would be one of those people that would even go as far as to argue that it is not just for your own sake, but as a civic duty. Don't go do something like that. Don't go hurt the system, because that only makes things worse for everybody else. And one area of law can end up affecting another area of law. The more that a system is abused, the more that a system may come back to retaliate against it. Anyway, that's it for this week. Thank you again so much for joining me on another Friday night. And of course, a huge thank you to the patrons who make this content possible. Because of your help, this project has been able to continue, so thank you very, very much. Of course, as always, I'm Rafael Di Furia, and I will see you all next time. Later.